What is the theme of Beneath the Silent Moon?
Well, it's funny because when I was plotting the book, my friend Penny, quite early on, we were driving into the city, and she said, you know, this book is all about sex. And I kind of laughed because there actually isn't a lot of sex that one sees in the book. But she's right. I mean, it's about a lot of a variety of sexual and romantic relationships between different types, between different characters with different issues of emotions and power and the different dynamics. And that it does drive the book. There's a lot of politics and espionage too, but at the core of the book, it is about personal relationships, and a lot of them do have to do with sex. So it's interesting. And as I think I said in responding to another question, researching the late 18th century and the Regency and the behavior of a lot of the whole Devonshire House set and a lot of other characters like Lady Melbourne, it seems very appropriate as a theme.
How do attitudes about sex in your time, the time period you're writing about, compare to attitudes about sex in the United States today?
That's fascinating. And as then as now, there were a variety of different attitudes by different people in different circles. Among the aristocracy, or certain groups at least among the aristocracy, there was quite a bit of license. There was still on the one hand, there was a lot more sort of sexual freedom for both men and women, but there was still definitely a double standard. Men, you see that the book Dangerous Liaisons was an influence on Beneath the Silent Moon, and that really book would have defined the attitudes for the older generation in Beneath the Silent Moon. Kenneth Fraser, Lord Glenister, Lady Frances, Charles's aunt, and Charles's mother, Lady Elizabeth, who dies before the book takes place. And in Dangerous Liaisons, despite the fact that there's all this sexual game playing going on, Valmont can openly boast about his conquests, whereas the Marquise has to pretend to have a spotless reputation, and her intrigues have to stay more secret. So there is, despite the fact that women had a fair amount of sexual freedom, they had to exercise it differently from the way men could. And then by the Regency era, things were changing some. If you think of Jane Austen's novels, romantic love is more celebrated. The game playing among, even, for instance, Lady Melbourne, who was a very powerful hostess in the late 18th century going into the Regency, and had, except for her oldest son, had all her children by different fathers, including William Lamb, who later became Prime Minister. Her love affairs, reading about them, there's a more, I don't know if calculating is the right word, but they seem very not romanticized. Whereas her daughter, Emily Cowper, who also had a number of love affairs, there's a more romantic element to them. And Emily had an on-again, off-again affair with Lord Palmerston, who also later became Prime Minister, who she eventually married after her husband died. So there's sort of the attitudes are changing as you move into the Romantic era. And I think you see that Beneath the Silent Moon with the older generation and the younger generation. As to how it compares to today, I think there's a lot of similarities. There's still a double standard. Girls, I think girls being pure for their marriage is not as important today as it at least in a lot of circles, as it is in the book. So some things have changed, but in some ways it's surprising how many things haven't changed.